You know what? Half the animals' testicles that I've eaten, I don't even know what kind of animal they are. Vegetables! Filtering blood just 15 to 30 minutes ago. We have a heart. All
right, here we go.
I take PEDs.
Okay, so the Liver King has been getting a ton of publicity lately for his barbaric or ancestral eating habits, as he would call them, and his bodybuilder-like physique. He's ripped, man. Now, he was just outed recently for his $15,000 a month steroid regimen after claiming natural for years, even in places like on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Got an ass filled with steroids is what he's got.
This poses the question for us here at Instashred to all the people that have chosen to follow Liver King after he's been in the limelight of the public. Is this the type of fitness content that we should be looking up to and idolizing and following for our own practice? This is Tyler here with Instashred, and we are all about practicing flexible and sustainable fitness and helping you get the body you want without hating the process. If that sounds good to you and you haven't already, please give us a subscribe down below. Now, we're not here to judge the Liver King, okay? We're not here to share whether his methodology is right or wrong. We felt it was necessary to share with the people that he is simply a marketing machine. If you've seen the revenue that his company alone makes, or even his home or the cars he drives, he's sure not living like his ancestors once were, even if he is practicing his 9 ancestral tenets, as he calls them. Now, the point being here that a lot of people have taken interest in what the man has to say about loading up on red meats and organs, and also staying away from the tried and true foods of proper health and nutrition, which are vegetables, where a ton of research has been done showing that vegetables have a very important place in our lives and in our body.
What? Vegetables?
And it goes to show that what he's saying isn't a complete farce. It's not all false, but it can definitely be misleading.
Stop the cap.
These aren't exactly lifelong habits to adopt. Here at Instashred, we understand that everyone wants to live that happy, healthy lifestyle balance, okay? Enjoying some brews with the boys, some pizza out with the family. These things are doable in moderation, and doing so when you want to actually encourages adherence. It helps you stick to a regimen because you're actually allowing yourself to do the things that you want within reason, within moderation, rather than depriving yourself on doing something that you don't want to do. Let's be real. Who wants to source these unprocessed, rare, grass-fed organs that Liver King eats, sit down for breakfast, and cut into a giant bone to get some bone marrow out of it? It's just not ideal, nor is it necessary for a fit and healthy lifestyle. Liver King is not preaching flexibility, like straight up. Whether he's practicing his 9 ancestral tenets or not, he is a marketing machine, okay? He practices his lifestyle in front of the camera and maybe behind it as well because it gains the interest of the public eye because he has a crazy abnormal style of eating. And he's an absolute freak. He's ripped to the bone. So of course he's going to gain publicity by eating like almost no one else does and looking the way he does. It wouldn't be uncommon for many of his followers to look at this guy and be like, damn, this guy only eats red meat and organs and he looks like this. I'm intrigued. And then they begin dabbling in his methodology themselves, probably making them more confused than they've ever been with all the other fitness advice they've heard. But as it's been broken down by some other well-accredited fitness influencers like Blaine Norton and Greg Doucette, the Liver King is on a ton of PEDs, performance-enhancing drugs. As I mentioned earlier, it's a boatload of money per month that he spends on these drugs. And this allows him to bring his physique to this crazy level, okay? He's a massive guy that is ripped to the bone, and just look at his stomach. I mean, that is a surefire giveaway to anyone in the fitness industry seeing the gastric distension. That man's belly is big, okay? His organs have grown from the HGH that he's taken, and it's obvious to the public eye, to the average gym goer, maybe it's believable, right? Okay, this guy just eats like an absolute animal for real, like a bear, just eats meat, and he looks like a freak. Maybe that's the secret. Maybe that's the answer. But people in the fitness industry have known for a long time this man is not natural, and he's claiming it. And now it's out of the bag. Yes, I said the man eats like a bear. He would probably say he eats like an ancestor. But I'm saying he eats like a straight up animal, like a lion, a bear, a tiger. Oh my.
Lions and tigers and bears. Oh my.
Be careful where you get your information from, okay? This is a prime example. Nothing against the Liver King. Some things he shares are great. He's got some great practices that are much healthier than many other people that have worse off practices. But he has a massive company that he's built, okay? And he's stepped into the limelight, into the public eye for the past few years, grown a huge following, and realized he can capitalize on his extreme eating habits and his godlike physique and draw the attention of people that are interested in what he looks like and what he's doing that's so much different. Okay, so that's really one key takeaway to realize, like, okay, why has the Liver King become so big? Oh, it's because he's massively different. And so he's, of course, going to highlight those things that he does so uniquely, so differently, to continue to blow up what he has, which is a brand of his own. Look, he's not the worst out there, and he's definitely not the best either, but there's surely some people left lost in following his messaging that goes against so much research that's been proven to be healthy for the body. The things he says to steer away from are just simply not true, and it's been proven by research time and time again, especially with his opinion on vegetables, okay? He's in a totally different universe with giving advice that I'm sure has really messed with people's thoughts on what healthy truly is. Oh, and I gotta throw this in here. Look at how the man trains, okay? Pay attention to this real quick. Look at what he does, at least what he's willing to share to the public eye. He does a lot of kettlebell, farmer walks. He does sled pulls. He does these training regimens that aren't conducive to his build, his physique. He looks like a competitive IFBB bodybuilder, okay? And the style of training that he chooses to share isn't really directly correlated to the type of physique he has, which once again gets into the hairiness of how he's kind of steered people the wrong way as far as what he shares and what's attainable, not only to the typical individual that isn't on as much drugs as he, but the training style that he shares is probably not in correlation to what most people are trying to achieve that choose to follow him. So there's another hairy element of what this man does. It's like, wait, you train like this, but that definitely doesn't help you achieve what you've built with your body. And so if people are trying to look anything remotely close to what you look like, your style of training is great for overall performance and health, but it is not the type of training you should be doing to look the way you look. And so, yeah, the big home, the fancy cars, the $100 million supplement brand, the $15K per month in drugs, not to mention the cream of the crop, HGH, which every drugged up bodybuilder would love to be taking, but most people just can't afford it. This man, the Liver King, is really showing us what's possible for the typical individual, isn't he? Here at Instashred especially, we don't like to use this phrase often, but I think it's pretty fitting here. At the end of the day, our minds are capable of so much. We can push past almost any limit that we see holding us back. But this is a time where I think we can safely say that the Liver King and what he preaches and what he's obtained for himself is somewhat unrealistic to the general public. So stand guard at the door of your mind and what you choose to allow in it. At the end of the day, there's a lot we can be taking in, but we need to control what we're allowed to accept into our minds and what we're allowed to just, I'm going to take note of what you said, but I'm not exactly going to adopt that. And I think a lot of people just take what certain individuals say as gospel and try to implement it. And then they get a piece of advice the next day that's a little bit misconstruing with what they learned yesterday, and they try to mix and mingle, and it's just not good. It leads to mental disorders, and it leads to bad health habits and people being unhappy with where they're at, even though they're putting in the effort, they're putting in the work, and that's the hardest thing to see. So we at Instashred here really try to practice that flexible, sustainable lifestyle. We want people to realize, hey, you can enjoy your life the way you want to without restricting yourself, without being all in on a process that you don't want to be all in on. Okay? Live your life the way you want to, and if you want to make a change for your health or the way you treat people or who you are as an individual, you can make that change without doing things you necessarily don't want to do. Okay? Find the enjoyment in what you do. Okay? And at Instashred, we find the most custom way to get where you want to go. Our body type quiz takes exactly where you're at, exactly where you want to go, and finds the most ideal outcome that fits into your lifestyle, okay? Because we want you to enjoy the process. We want you to work out because you want to work out. We want you to eat in a way that you find enjoyable, but also fuels your lifestyle, gives you energy, makes you feel good, makes you look good. And so if you're interested whatsoever in our body type quiz, it's free. It's 30 seconds. It'll be down in the description. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe, especially if you enjoyed this little breakdown on the Liver King. Peace and love to you. Hope to see you next time.